Penn Jillette in Las Vegas, Nevada, talking over the Free FM with the secret Tour de France rider, Michael Goudeau.
That's right.
Who is, for those of you who don't know, riding the Tour de France in his living room, going the same amount of time that the big boys are, and eating blueberry pie while he's riding. So he's not losing as much weight as maybe some of the athletes. But
they're eating 8,000 calories a day. I think they're beating me still.
Okay, so they're eating more than you, but they're going faster than you.
They're going faster than
But anyway, he's riding the whole Tour de France, which I think is the definition of existentialism. If Camus was writing today, you would figure hard into that. You'd figure hard into that part. And it's a little special day. The tiny special day is that I woke up this morning. I was woken up by my wife having no idea where I was because I went in yesterday for dental surgery. It turned into a root canal. And it turns out if you weigh $3 and you're a really big guy, that putting you out, they put in like, I think 15 needles to try to get me down. And so they bring in elephant tranquilizers. Yeah, they're trying to get me out or to not care. And I was trying to be tough. You know, I would try to pretend I didn't feel it. So I'd let them drill without it being dead because I'm thinking I'm a tough guy. I can do that. How bad is that? You know, I went through Nam. You know, I'm watching it on TV, and I thought I could take this. And they start to drill. When they're drilling right directly into the tooth, you're really tough for that. The first moment it hurts, you're tough. And then it strikes you, oh, this is going to keep up. And you, so they kept going out of the room, coming back, putting more needles in me, going out, coming back, putting more needles into me. And finally they put, I guess they put Valium under my tongue.
Yeah, the melt pills, yeah.
Yeah, and then I got funnier. I was starting to say loopier things. I said a little bit loopier things. And then they put Halcyon, is that another drug?
Yeah, Halcyon, yeah.
They put that into me. And I remember asking about a fish that they'd brought into the room. There was a very big fish in the room. And they assured me that the fish wasn't there. And then I woke up about 12 hours later in my bed. And somehow druggers, nurses, passers-by, longshoremen, the same people that mobilized the whales that come up on the beach, had drugged me, got me into the car, and put me up in bed. So I woke up a little bit woozy. And once again, you know, I say this on the air all the time. If you have children, especially 15, 16, 17-year-old children, make sure they do drugs. Make sure they experiment, because human beings should understand what it's like to be high. It should not be a brand new experience, and they should do it when the stakes are low. So, to that end, we have a very special guest. And believe me, if I knew he was going to be on today, I would have been billboarding it all week. But it's a special surprise guest and somebody who talked to me. You talked to me when I was just starting to get high. He called on the phone, and I said I was a little high, and he said, it's not that bad.
It's not so bad, is it?
And that is Trey Parker of Trey Parker and Matt Stone.
Woo-hoo!
Matt Stone's not here.
No.
It's just Trey Parker. You know, when they do the ads for Apple and they have like Dr. Watson and there's a full ad that says think differently.
Right.
And I said to a friend of mine, how do they get Dr. Watson to do that ad? And he said simply, no crick.
Right.
So how do you get Trey Parker to do a radio interview? No, Matt.
Right. That's true. We desperately try to get away from each other when we're not.
So now you've been away for a while. You were like in Japan and stuff?
Yep. And we've been on hiatus since May. We're back in September. So.
Now, do you quit several times a year?
You mean, do I want to quit? Do I pull a Dave Chappelle? Yeah. I want to pull a Dave Chappelle. I was actually really pissed off when Dave Chappelle did that because I've wanted to do that for 10 years and had never quite had the guts to do it.
You had it in your notebook.
But yeah, at the beginning of every run, I'm just like, oh, we're out of ideas. This run's going to be terrible. I can't do it. Too much pressure, and I want to leave. And Matt's always the one that kind of talks me back into the into the show.
How far have you gotten? Have you ever skipped a day or two of work? Or
yes, we've gotten to the point where it's Saturday, there's a show airing on Wednesday, and we have no idea what it is going to be about.
No idea at all.
No idea. No. And we're seriously about to call Comedy Central and say, sorry, you're not getting a show, we're leaving, and you can sue us. But then we sort of pull a show out of our butt somehow.
Now, but the shows that you've done lately, the two-part cartoon wars.
Oh, yeah.
Probably the best show you've ever done. I mean, up there.
Yeah, I mean, it was great. You know, every season we're kind of, we're definitely getting better every season as writers. Like I think when we watched sort of the first and second season, we're like, wow, we really didn't know how to write then, you know. But we've sort of come along, and that's why it's still fun, you know, because we still do everything on the show ourselves. So it's like we're more like a rock band. We like to think of it that way, you know.
Yeah, well, that makes a big difference. You know, I think that the smaller the groups that are doing things, the better they are. Part of the reason you're so good is there doesn't seem to be the feel of committee everywhere.
Right.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
And let's talk, just because this is always fun, we have drawers full of very unpleasant letters that cross over into death threats. How many of those do you get?
Shockingly little. I mean, shockingly little. And I guess we just have such a brand now, you know, that it's sort of the South Park thing. We've realized that it's like, a story will be going around. It's like, oh, did you hear this show last night? They did this, that, and the other. And people will be like, oh, my God, that's terrible. What show was it? And they're like, South Park. And it's like, oh, well, that's South Park. You know what I mean? It's just kind of like that's sort of the attitude out there.
You've gotten to pass.
Yeah, and everything, you know, I guess Comedy Central might get more than we do. But even they say they get shockingly few.
What it is, there's this whole, I believe that freedom of speech is very, very alive and well in this country. What you have is this group of about 2,500 crayon writing, losers, who are led by some sort of quasi-minister, and are told to write letters about everything. And they're not the problem. The problem is you then have Hollywood, who so much want to be martyrs, you know, that they collect these letters, that clearly these are letters from people who couldn't pass a driving test. You know? They're not buying Lexuses or whatever your show sells.
They have no effect on
whatever your show sells. They're not buying. You know, so a boycott means nothing.
No.
And yet they take him really seriously.
Yeah.
You know, when we get stuff, you know, we did our chiropractic show.
Right.
We had what was it? It was a huge number of letters. It was like 100. We had 100 letters from chiropractors who said they would never watch our show again.
Well, too bad.
But it was better than that because we have a live show.
Right.
So those 100 letters came and they got no reaction. So after the show, you know, we're out in the lobby talking to folks, and after the show, these like 25 really cute women, like really like flirtatious cute women, all come up to me at once as a group, and I'm going, okay, I can get out my journal again. There's another story coming. And they're all smiles. And they go, Penn? I go, yes. And they go, do you know who we are? I said, well, no. I mean, I know who you are to me, but I mean, who are you to you? And they said, we work for the National Association of Chiropractors, or whatever the name of it is, and we came to your show tonight to see the show and to talk with you afterwards. I said, okay. And they said, we want to tell you that we are going to make sure no chiropractors ever come to see your show again. And I said, is this a boycott? And they said, it certainly is a boycott. And I said, I think an important part of the boycott is not coming to see our show ever. I don't think you come and deliver, because I don't think we've ever had a night when we had 75 chiropractors in the audience at once. That's money in the bank.
That's great.
So I don't get it. And there's also those groups that go back and forth, attacking you and then attacking us, like the guys that have the Christian League for Decency.
That Catholic guy,
who just what's it? Him and his wife.
And it's every time. What's really funny is that we've always said. I mean, as soon as we started South Park, everyone was like, wow, it's so great. The religious left or the religious right must really be trying to censor you guys, but you persevere. And we're just like, yeah, although we'd never really heard from anyone, and then, it's just always been this thing that, and you can see why Michael Moore does what he does, because it is so easy to take that side and be like, yes, I am championing free speech. Yes, I am standing up for yes, I am being censored. I'm being oppressed. And the truth of the matter is, we're totally rich. We're totally all we've ever done is whatever we wanted to do, and people throw money at us. So it's like we've never been censored.
The other thing is, all the people that talk about these horrible times we're going into and how terrible the censorship is, they don't seem to realize that Eminem had the #1 album.
Yeah, exactly.
The number one album.
Yeah.
You know, it's not like not like Eminem's doing okay.
Right.
Or no one's, stopped him. Eminem had, with negative things to say about the president.
Right.
Very negative. With obscenity. The number one album in the country.
Right.
And there's no way the number one album in the country is counterculture.
Right.
They tried to fool us with that with the Beatles.
Right.
You know what I mean? They tried to pretend this is really outsider stuff.
Right.
It has to be. Howard Stern, when he had his real show, was the number one show in the country. Nothing he could say by definition could be outside the mainstream.
Right.
He was mainstream. But, you get that fear. I mean, and everybody wants to blame everything bad on these right-wing Christians.
Yes.
And they don't notice that most of the censorship over the past 20 or 30 years has come from broadly the left.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's the only, honestly, I think I've told you this before, but, that we've never really heard from anyone. The only time we actually had a group of people mad at us and writing us letters and calling us was right after Team America came out. Mm-hmm. And it was our liberal friends that were like, how dare you? And really their attitude was, don't you know what you're doing? The election is in a month and you release this movie. And we're like, we're not trying to change the election. It's not the point. And we even, like, friends of ours, we're like, rocker friends, and said, we're pissed off. And we're like, wow, we've never had a group be upset at us for what we've said until now.
But did you have friends that were, fairly close friends?
Yeah. A few of them, there was only a few that were close friends that were upset. One of them was Les Claypool, from Primus.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And he's, and it was, he wasn't like, I hate you guys, I'm never talking to you again, but he was really like, why would you do this? Why didn't, he's like, so many of the liberals, that movie started and they wanted it to keep going the way it was, because the movie starts off and it's just really bashing what America does. And then it kind of takes this turn in the middle that's like, yeah, but what are you going to do?
Yeah.
And, They just wanted it to keep going and keep going, and I heard from some friends that they saw it in Berkeley, and that they said it was a shocking experience because they were sitting in the theaters and they said you had people standing in the aisles cheering and just going crazy, and then about halfway through the movie it started getting quiet, and then about 10 minutes before the movie ended people were walking out. And I was like, that is perfect.
I would have, because of being a fan of yours, and having met you once or twice, people would come to me and say, now, just tell us, in Team America, which is, cool and the puppets and all, at the end there, where they're doing that kind of political stuff, what kind of irony are they doing there? What's their real position? And I said, I haven't talked to them a lot. We're certainly not close friends. I can't claim hours of conversation, but I can claim a couple hours of conversation. And I said, I do believe that when it gets to the end of the movie, the putting aside Kemetic Ellering and so on, I believe that's a statement of their political position, or at least a statement of their political worries, because it's there. And they would just say, well, that's what you're making up. I want to know what they mean by that. So they want an interpretation, and I thought it was fairly clear through the whole thing.
It made sense to us.
Yeah. And I heard a story about Matt running into Janine Garofalo at a restaurant or something.
Yeah.
Did you have any experiences like that?
It is really funny how, because we don't go to a lot of Hollywood parties at all, and but we do especially since then. But we do try to go to like the Academy Award parties once a year, just because it's fun. And so this last Academy, or the Academy Awards right after Team America, there was it was like Paris Hilton was there, who we just ripped on in the show.
Oh, sure.
And Clooney was there, and Alec Baldwin was there. And there really was that we were standing in the corner, Matt and I, and nobody would talk to us. We were like, wow, things have really changed around here. So we left.
But Clooney's still a supporter, isn't he, of you?
Yeah, he's a pretty good guy, and but we kept tearing him apart all year, and I think he's kind of sick of it. So, but that Academy Award speech he gave, I don't know if you heard it. It was about the smuggiest thing I've ever heard in my life.
That was the one you did in the cars.
Yeah, the smug alert. Yeah.